Good evening.
Hello, hello.
Hello, everyone. How are you, Jake?
I'm good. Hello, Peter, who's in nice and early. Drogo, Jeffster, lots of regulars. Malcolm. It's too many. You're all saying hello. Chris. Yeah,
The gang is back together.
absolutely. Yeah. Hexman. We've got, was it CMD Control? Who's saying high alcohol content tonight. Yeah, you've clocked. We've got a couple of kind of high, 55 and 59 coming up throughout the evening. Yeah. How you doing, Jess?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm so ready for a little dram or two or three. Yeah, I feel like it's tipping it down everywhere right now. I don't want to talk about the weather, but I can't stop because it affects me.
We were talking about it backstage a little bit just then, weren't we? And like I was just saying, I picked up my kid at nursery. It was well before like 5 o'clock, and it's just pitch black, pouring down with rain. It's just, oh man, okay, we're really in autumn now.
You're like, oh no, my working day is not even done.
No,
but because we have this to look forward to.
If you want to see the sun, you gotta get out at lunchtime or something.
We hope.
Yeah, I suppose there's a bit of housekeeping on the new. We had new packaging this month, which we're quite excited about because it's sleeker, smarter, should go through the letterbox for easier delivery, doesn't need outer packaging, so less wasteful. But yeah, we know that some of you, your packs didn't turn up in perfect condition, or we've got some teething problems there. The fun of trying something brand new, but hopefully we will get there, make them more secure, and should be the way forward.
Luckily, mine turned up like in perfect condition. Obviously, I didn't know that they were problems, but I was like, "This looks amazing! I love it."
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure loads of them got there in perfect conditions. Mine was a little bit beaten up, but I think the important thing is that hopefully we've sorted everyone out. If we haven't, shout on YouTube now, but also get in touch. And let us know. Let us know some feedback and just got there you go. New packaging looks great. Just need to keep the bottles in place. Yeah, absolutely, Drogo. Peter got his in perfect condition. Very pleased with the delivery. There you go. Lots of you are. I like the inner, outer. So I'm.
Are you reading?
Yeah. When you start reading something, but you haven't actually fully got the thread of what.
Jake, I'm giving like one more second. But yes, so that's fun and new. We also have some very fun whiskies tonight. To segue. So more housekeeping. The lineup tonight. I'll quickly run us through. So first off, I'll be chatting to David about the Clydebuilt Anchorsmith. And then Jake's going to be talking all things Glen Moray with Emma, which is a tequila cask finish, which will be fun. I'm excited for that. And then finishing off with a 17-year-old 2007 vintage Highland Park from Gordon and MacPhail with Russell. And then Jake and I will give our quick thoughts at the end on the Maker's Mark and Roseisle. So yeah, as always, you don't have to drink all 5 drams, sip, don't gulp. Take out your own pace because we do have some pretty beefy ABVs in there tonight. It's going to be fun. Have I missed anything?
Absolutely. So shall we kick off with some Clydebuilt?
Yeah, I'm really excited for this.
Let's bring David in.
Hi, David.
Hi, Jess. Hello there.
How are you doing?
I'm very well. And yeah, you're right about talking about the weather. I think everybody today has just been miserable and depressed out there in the dark and the black. But thankfully we've got some cracking drams, or you guys have sorted out some cracking drams for us. So I'm looking forward to trying these. And if I just comment on the packaging, I think it's great. My box was so well wrapped, this was stuck in another big box. Didn't go through the letterbox, had to go to the post office to collect it. But the main thing was it was secure and it did arrive safely. So certainly no complaint from myself. And like all these things, you'll fine tune it and tweak it a little bit, and they'll get a tighter grip in the little bottles. you will get there. I'm sure you'll get there.
Yeah, as long as the whiskey is well within its bottle, I think we're all happy.
Absolutely. As long as there's no breakages, that's the main thing. Correct.
Where are you coming to us from today?
Today, I actually live in Northumberland normally, but my house is getting renovated, so I'm in Edinburgh tonight.
Oh, lovely. Okay, very nice. So yeah, before we get into the whiskey and the distillery itself, it'd be great just to hear a little bit about you and like your
Sure.
whiskey dinners.
I've been in. I always feel really old when I say this, but I actually worked out. I've been in whiskey 30 years. This year, I've been working in the whiskey industry. I fell into a mistake. I just started. Done a few jobs, and then I went to university, and I started as a sales assistant in a whiskey shop way back in the mid-90s. And suddenly, do you know when you just think, this is what I want to do? This is what I want to do. So whiskey shop, then Brewer Claddy, then Glendronach, Benriach, Glenglassaugh, never forget Glenglassaugh. Then sales and marketing director at Glenalachie, from when the company was formed until 2023, 22, I forget. And then I joined Ardgowan Distillery, and I forget that as well, 23. I joined Ardgowan Distillery in July 2023.
Nice. So not too long ago, but
not too long ago, actually. Not too long ago, and it was an interesting one because when they first came to me, they said, "All right, they wanted me to join them," and I thought, "Well, you don't have a distillery. The distillery is now built." But in July 23, they had no distillery, and I was like, "Why do you want me?" And they said, "Look at our plans. Come with us. Come meet us. Come and see the site." And they sold it. They sold me on the whole project, and I can talk about it as the evening goes on.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, so Ardgowan Distillery was, I think it took about 8 years to be built. And the first cask was only filled this year.
Yes, you're absolutely right, Jess. I think the company was formed in 2016, and I think probably a lot of the delays were caused by planning, Brexit kind of unsettled the investment kind of market a little bit, and let's be honest, basically the cash to get the project up off the ground and running. I mean, I think it's well documented. We spent something in the region of, I think it's in excess of 20 million to get Ardgowan to the stage it's at just now. So that's a lot of money. That was one of the reasons that of the delay. But a chap called Roland Grain, who's very aptly named for someone involved in whiskey.
Yes. I love it. There's actually a few of them. Sorry to derail, but I just think the whiskey industry actually has loads of people like that. Like Greg Glass
determinism
is one that springs to mind. There's tons more that I'm forgetting now, but yeah, I love that. Roland Grain. Carry on. Sorry.
No, it always makes me laugh, and I always get people get comments, etc. So Roland came on board in 2020, I think, and he really gave the project a kind of kickstart. It maybe had been drifting, for want of a better word. He gave it a kickstart, invested some money in it, and then once you get a main lead investor, others come on board too. So it kind of got going then. And construction started in October 22. Yeah.
Okay.
No, October 23. I'm not good with dates. You'll probably notice. It's in October 23, and it finished in June 25. Finished this year.
Right. Okay. So yeah, it was like in the works, but actually once it got going, I mean, it's actually not that long, a couple of years to build a distillery, which seems fair.
It seems fair. We made. I don't know if anyone's been online. I don't know how to share screens on that, so I won't even attempt. But if anyone goes online and looks at Ardgowan Distillery, you'll see it's in a tremendously, a really unique design. It's kind of
I was literally just about to share a screen because I thought like it's worth doing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Because I mean,
it slopes two ways. See, it slopes there from the left to the right, and it also slopes the angle. Slopes as well. So no two bits of steel are the same. Everything had to be individually cut and made, which is fantastic. It's a fantastic design. We're very, very proud of it now. But I think by the engineers, or from the engineers who were building it, there was some choice words about actually trying to build this incredible
Not to be repeated.
not to be repeated in a public forum, absolutely not. So a distillery is up and running now. It looks fantastic. It is fantastic. We're making, we're laying down whiskey. The style we're looking for is somewhere in the style, maybe between a Campbelltown, Springbank and a MacPhail, and a bit of body and a bit of meat, a bit of funk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing I should probably say about Ardgowan, because it's an essential part of the story, and it shows a bit, I think, about our ambition and our vision, and Roland, our lead investor and CEO, his passion for whiskey. Before the distillery was even built, before I had even joined them, Ardgowan had spent £3 million on casks and getting actually designed their own cask. We call it Infinity Cask, and laid it down. It's made by Miguel over at San Ricardo Barrameda. He's also in Jerez, and he designed and built this cask for us, and it's designed for super long maturation. So we've had these casks seasoning before the distillery even started construction, and I think that's probably, there's quite a lot of new distilleries out there. I think that's possibly something that just kind of lifts us. We've got a bit of a longer term vision and ambition for the company.
Mm-hmm. What makes an infinity cask? Like, how do you design something like that?
Well, you have to stick to SWA regulations, of course, but it's just designed for super long maturation. So if you think about most modern new distilleries, will do things like maturing in quarter casks or different sized casks, etc., to get something ready to bottle quickly, and that's fine. That you get some great whiskies. Whereas Ardgowan has thought, do you know what? You want to go back to old school whiskey, where things wasn't rushed, stuff was left, and spirit was left in sherry casks for a long, long time. And that's Roland's vision and ambition, and I bought into it because I'm here now. Sometimes the Scotsman in me thinks, oh, why did you design a cask when we've got to wait 18 odd years before we can bring it out? And he said, it's what I want to do. I want us to have consistent stock and quality stock when it counts in the years ahead. So, fair play to the man. He's put his money where his mouth is, and we're delivering the vision. Is
that, I imagine, not all of the new make is being put into an infinity cask. Like, we'll see some things, some of Ardgowan's own liquid come out before maybe like the 18-year mark.
Well, never know. Depends. Maybe 10. Well, I think we'll maybe look at doing a 10 or a 12-year-old. There is, you're right, Jess. There is some going into hogsheads, etc. Right. But it is there's no plan. It'll come out when it's ready, and there's no rush at all. And the plan is we might do some small limited releases at year 6 or year 8, or what, depends how the spirit develops. But the real plan is to debut Ardgowan when it's 10 or 12 years old. Okay, amazing. Wow, that is a long time. It is a long time. So it is a long time, but that's our vision. It's all about time. Yeah, no, I really love that. Yeah, it's like good to stick to your guns and say we're just going to release it when we're happy. But I guess in the meantime, we have whiskies like the Clydebuilt Anchorsmith to tide us over. We have the Clydebuilt Anchorsmith, and Clydebuilt, this is going to fill the gap for Ardgowan. Well, Ardgowan waits all these years, decades even, until it's ready. We have Clydebuilt, and we'll taste an Anchorsmith tonight, which is a blended malt. I'll quickly talk about that. But we've spent millions and millions of pounds as well in laying down single malt, putting them in casks of our choice, because Clydebuilt will be the brand that will take Ardgowan to the world, and build a distribution, tell our story, and then when Ardgowan comes out in 10 years' time or 12 years' time, whatever, we'll have it there. But anyway, let's talk about Ardgowan. Let's talk about Anchorsmith, should I say, because it's now been 15 minutes or so, and nobody had a dram.
Well, I can tell you what some of the members are finding of it. We've got Peter Gilmore's getting fruitcake, black cherry, marzipan. Drogo Nevitz get good shout on the fruitcake. I'm getting some Soreen. Yeah, nice. Pexman Christmas in a glass. Barry, Easter in a glass. Hot cross buns. We've got some aniseed, flake tobacco from Jeffster, some cinnamon. Yeah, loads of great notes coming in. Malcolm Tucker's getting malt loaf as well. Honey, red fruits, coffee beans. Chris Leno's enjoying it, very smooth and fruity. Granny's fig rolls, says Colm Goldrick. Yeah, almost like Dr. Pepper with the marzipan and cherries. So now other people are getting cherries, power suggestion. We've got some fruitcake, perfume, almost Parma violet notes here. Marmalade, loads of good stuff. Loads of good sherry cask notes coming through there.
Can I use some of these notes in my?
Yeah, I'll send them on. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like talking too much about tasting notes because you're right. The power of suggestion. If you start talking about something, people think it, people taste it. So you've given a run through. Let's get straight into it. Bloody good. That's my tasting note. Yeah, I'm getting, I don't know, a bit of honey coming through there. I don't even know what the official tasting notes are. Funny enough, I can't remember them either. I don't know what the tasting notes are. Official tasting notes. Reading your tasting notes here. Roasted chestnut. I think that dark fruits. Yeah. Chocolate raisins. Overripe bananas. Yeah. I'm not getting any of that tonight, but no, definitely honey, butterscotch, something like that coming through for me. But the power of tasting notes is everyone's different, and I could come back to this in half an hour and taste something new altogether. So it's a blended malt. We haven't, I think it's 48% this one. We haven't put an age statement on it, but it is 8-year-old. It is aged exclusively in first fill or Roseisle. I'm not allowed to name the distilleries that are in it, but I will tell you, it was put together by MacPhail, former Edrington master blender, and our first chairman, when all the stocks for this were getting bought, was Willie Phillips, the former Edrington CEO, MD. So I'm not saying, some people might speculate as to what brands were in that, but there is a strong connection to a certain based classic company, and there's no Macallan in it. In case you think I'm not suggesting there's Macallan in it, but there might be something else from that stable mate in that portfolio in there. So you should probably be able to work out what the core malts are at the heart of this, and I still keep myself safe from any litigious lawyers.
Yeah, make of that what you will. So the Clydebuilt series is like a homage to like the shipbuilding history of the Clyde River. So Anchorsmith, I mean, it sort of sounds self-explanatory, but was there any link between like the blends of whiskies and the part of the history that they're related to, or how was it all formed?
It was, so the Clydebuilt, back in the days before we started trying to build ferries in the Clyde, the Scottish Clyde shipbuilding was second to none. It was renowned globally for the quality of the engineering for ships built, and we're located on the Firth of Clyde. So the name it made sense to tie into that old sense of quality and the location. The actual name, we did a collection of 6, and it was for the great shipbuilding professions or traditions. There was coppersmith, sailmaker, anchorsmith, draftsman, 2 others, which funny enough I've forgotten, but there was a collection of 6 in total, and it was just as a homage to the professions of the great Clydebuilt shipbuilding professions. As we go on, we're going to change. We've done the blended malts. We'll probably move now to single malts, and we have been buying that. Like, we've got a 12-year-old single malt coming out just now, and we'll do single cask, etc. Though I should say, for anyone that doesn't like blended malts, we've just released a 27-year-old for less than £100. We had it at a festival at the weekend there, and it sold out, and the retailer and Master of Malt have stock coming. They've ordered stock, so it's on its way. Master of Malt will have it soon. It's a 27-year-old blended malt. it's as black as sin. It's as black as that phone face. It's 100% sherry mature. It's less than 100 quid. And it's going to be with master malt soon. So look for that Clydebuilt 27-year-old blended malt, 100% sherry matured. But I digress. I'm going to be talking about Anchorsmith.
No, that's good. I'd love to hear what's coming up as well. And also, if you like this blended malt, obviously all the whiskies we hear tonight are on the Pour and Sip store with your members discount. That's all the plugging. We're done.
No
I've got a couple of questions.
Yes, of course. Questions are good because
back to the infinity cask. Jeffster is asking, how many refills will an infinity cask endure?
Probably the same as any other cask. I guess it's a bit of an unknown quantity, so we'll need to check how it comes. But if you bear in mind the first emptying is maybe not going to be for 18 years. Hopefully I'll be retired by then. So I would say it would take 2 or 3 refills. I guess maybe the wood will start to deteriorate given the sheer volume of years. It's a very good question. I could make up an answer, but I genuinely don't know. But I would think it'll be the same as any other cask.
Yeah. Is it more about holding the whiskey for a long time rather than, living through a lot of refills?
Yeah, it's to let the whiskey just soak in. There's a bit of a modern life is always about rush. And particularly new distilleries, it's about get something in the bottle quickly because you need the cash. Whereas we've kind of taken the opposite approach. It's all about quality. It's about trying to recreate the old school whiskies, that golden era of sherry matured whiskies. They're European oak as well, the infinity casks. And that long maturation and long seasoning to start with, it's at least 3 years. Then that long maturation is all part of that. It's just to let the spirit really come to fruition and really then take that rush aspect out of it and give it plenty of time.
Yeah, back to like all the romance of whiskey.
Yeah, possibly, yes. That's a good way of putting it.
And then a sort of, less whiskey related question from Jester as well. They've asked, can you do a Clyde 261 as an homage to the original radio station there? Which I don't know if you know about that. I don't, but
I know about Clyde one. I grew up in central Scotland in Callander, north of Glasgow, so I know. But I maybe need to look into that one too. We can do anything we want.
No bad ideas when it comes to marketing.
And we've got thousands and thousands of casks. As I say,
about 15 years to wait that we need to, get all these limited editions out.
Absolutely. We can do whatever we want.
I just wanted to quickly go back to like the design of the distillery, and I just wanted, obviously it seemed like, it looks amazing, but it might have been a bit of a nightmare to actually build. And I just wondered why it's designed like that, because it looks amazing and it's so unique.
It was an Austrian architect that came up with the design, and it was like a kind of Scandinavian longhouse. And it was to make a design like a haven of hospitality. And like all architects, if you let them run with it, and they come up with all sorts of things without actually thinking, well, someone's got to come along next behind me and build this thing. So that was what the design came from. And again, it was kind of led by Roland. He had a clear vision of just didn't want another box. It's not about cutting. Hopefully you're picking up our gown is not about cutting costs. It's obviously we're aiming for efficiency, and the distillery is very efficient. It's all about sustainability, but it's about making our mark and being unique and being individual and being us. And that idea Rowan had in his head, an architect translated it, came up with that design, and that's what we went ahead and built.
Amazing.
It's stunning. It's striking.
Yeah. It is striking. So what I'd say is recommend people come down and see it. You can't miss us. We're next to the Inverkip Road. You cannot miss us. We're down at Inverkip on the just down from Glasgow on the west coast. So come and see us. You certainly won't drive past that distillery.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hopefully I'll be able to head up there one day.
You're very welcome. Very welcome.
We've got a few more tasting notes.
Have we got some more?
So Malcolm's getting some licorice, getting some of the banana. I am getting some of that sort of banana chippy kind of. got some chili and wood spices, and some of the marmalade that others were talking about. We've got some of them adding a little bit of water now, finding that brings honey and chocolate to the fore a bit more.
I had a bit of water to start with.
Steve Colin Williams has been changing his username to basically, I don't know if it's specifically to confuse me, but he has been confusing me. He's a regular. So he's now sort of in between usernames. Steve Drogo Colin Williams. He's looked up that 27-year-old blended malt on the website already and says, "Oh wow, that really is black."
Is it on the Master Malt website? Good, fantastic.
No, I think he must have looked at online. I'm not sure it's on Mom yet, but
it will be on Mom. You have to buy it through Mom. After me mentioning it on here, they have told me that the order is coming, so we'll get it there. But yes, it is very black, and it's 100% sherry maturation. I know, and I forgot to say, it's actually got 33-year-old Ben Rinnes in it as well. And the cask had dropped below 40%, so we blended some of it in with our. I was almost going to say what whiskies they were.
Nearly got you there.
I'll just say it's from a similar portfolio to the current whiskey we're tasting. I'm going to
good for a scoop sometimes.
These tasting notes that are coming up, they're fantastic. I think if I go onto YouTube, I'm going to write them all down and try and remember them to use them. That's great. When you do tasting notes day after day, sometimes you struggle to, or I struggle to get the vocabulary. So I'm loving these ones that the guys are finding.
Yeah.
They're into runny treacles now.
I love it.
Yeah. Oh, Jason has a question.
Yes.
You mentioned Campbelltown style, and he's interested. Are you using any floor malting or direct fired stills or worm tubs or any of those things?
Not at the moment. There's plans to install floor maltings. We don't have worm tubs, unfortunately. And what was the other thing? Worm tubs.
Any direct fired stills?
No, we don't have that either. It's more the design and shape of the stills is one of the things we've got. One of the line arms comes up, one of them goes down. It's a certain size, and the shape is to try and get the flavour profile that we're aiming for, and then obviously coupled with our wood policy. But we do plan to add floor maltings. We do plan to add our own bottling hall. I say it's just we've a lot of ambition. There's so much to do. We need to build more warehouses. We can't have all these casks. We know where to put them, so we need to build more warehouses, and we're going to be warehousing for a very long time. So that will come in due course. Watch this space.
No, nice.
Big fan.
I know. Obviously, you mentioned some stuff there. You've got sort of plans to be carbon neutral as well. You've sort of mentioned sustainability.
Yeah, the steel's all recycled. The roof is all recycled.
Yes.
We've got TVR, thermal vapor recompression, to capture. To reduce to recapture the energy, to recapture the heat, and reduce our energy use. We're working on a hydrogen. What partnered with a company, I think it's GHP, to develop hydrogen, to get that on going. That'll be a little bit longer, but the distillery is all built modular. See the bit in the middle that wasn't covered. That's a design. People keep asking me, when are you going to come back and finish it? That is a design feature for easy access, so we can add things in and out. And at the back, things like the boilers, everything can be swapped out and swapped in so that we can update it. But hydrogen is what we want to do to really lower our energy use. And whether we can get to carbon neutral, that might have been a bit ambitious, but we definitely want to stay carbon neutral, sorry. And I think more it's just about sustainability. We want to cut down the waste. We want to reuse and reduce as much as we possibly can.
No, fantastic. I think that with sort of the ambition of the patient aging, and there's a lot of cool stuff. Yeah. Thank you very much, David.
No, thank you. I've maybe rambled on a little bit, but hopefully I've got some of the relevant points over.
No, I'm just conscious of time. We always say, we were saying beforehand, weren't we, that
how are you going to fill 15 minutes? But
fly by, yeah.
Easy.
Easy challenge. Lovely. Well, thank Thank you very much.
Yeah, if you're able to stay, we might see you a bit later on.
Yeah, I'll come back. I'll keep an eye on it, and I'll be in at the end.
Perfect.
Cheers,
David.
Cheers. Thank you very much.
Nice start.
Yeah, delicious. Where are we on to now? On to Glen Moray.
Yes.
Which I said wrong for a long time.
Yes.
Actually, like a
It's one of the
Moray
ones a
eel.
lot of people say wrong. Yeah.
It's not a Moray eel, guys. It's Murray. But we'll learn that now, I'm sure, from Emma.
Yeah, just to confirming that we do love a ramble, and Texman confirming that is a cracking start to the evening. Yeah.
Should rename to Pour and Sip and Ramble.
So we are, yes, to single malt and a jump of about 10% ABV here. So give this one a chance to open up.
Hold on to your hats.
But let's bring Emma in to talk to us all about Glen Moray. Yeah. Here we go. Hello, hello.
Hello.
Hi.
That was so interesting. That was great to hear all about our gown.
Yes.
I know I'm here for Glen Moray, but it's always nice to hear what everyone else is up to.
Well, tell us, who is Emma, and tell us all about Glen Moray.
So I was actually looking through emails earlier, so it turns out I haven't been on Pour and Sip since 2022, so it's been a little while, but it's nice to for anybody who wasn't catching me on my one-off debut back then. I'm Emma. I work at Glen Moray Visitor Centre, and I've been there since 2008, 2009, one of those.
So that would have been, that's about the same time as Martiniquez took over, right?
Yeah, so it would have been 2009 because we were bought over just at the tail end of 2008, and I joined the company just shy of 6 months after the buyover. So it was a really great time to kind of see the whole transition period and how things were going to march forward at a rate of knots, because it's never stopped since. Yeah,
because I was about to say, it's what year would it have been now? 2 or 3 years ago, your 125th anniversary.
2022 would have been our 125th anniversary. Yeah.
So I was up then.
The joy of hosting.
I had a great time learning all about kind of it's grown so much in the decade before that, and
since as well.
Yeah, I don't know how many millions the capacity is up to now. But obviously the Warehouse 1 series has also been, going full guns. I don't know.
It is. Glen Moray is just a story of growth. We've gone. When I joined the company and when LM bought the distillery, we were 2.2 million litres per annum. We've just completed last year our 3rd expansion, and we now sit at 8.5 million per annum.
Wow, yeah. So there's been a few jumps, isn't there? I knew it was heading towards 9. Really getting there now. Wow. Which makes it huge,
I think
right?
we're pretty much max. We can't go any further. We've run out of space. We've run out of everything. So we shouldn't get much bigger than what we are now. Famous last words. Sorry.
But that's great. Oh wow.
My normal tasting companion, he's like, no, you're talking to other people. You're supposed to be talking to me.
You can join.
Absolutely, yeah, very welcome. Because it's so I don't know how, maybe all the Pour and Sippers know Glen Moray very well, but it was always a distillery that I always really liked, always really respected. It had really solid core range, but it's always super affordable as well, right? So and maybe just people overlooked it because of that, but actually that was a great thing.
I think we have finally kind of cut the tag of sort of underappreciated or undervalued, and I think we finally, after many years of touting the same story, got people to sort of understand that it's not by accident. It is positioning. We want our whiskey to be affordable. We want it to be accessible, and we want it to be that go-to style. And it's been, for me, really great to, despite all the growth, all the changes, and to be honest, all of the phenomenal whiskies that we have released over the years, that's not been pushed aside. We've not moved into the sort of premiumized luxury end. We've remained very connected in that sense.
No, absolutely, yeah. So you haven't lost that, which I always loved about the distillery, as well as, you know, yummy whiskey. But being able to branch out, and what was sort of this curiosities range has become Warehouse One, which is. Do you want to?
Yeah, not many people still talk about curiosity range. Goodness, that was the kind of forefront of this idea that we had. We knew what the idea was. It was, we have all these amazing casks. We want to talk about them. So the curiosity range was a good kind of stepping stone into that. And it took a few releases before we realized actually what we're tapping into is Warehouse One, because we've got so many. I don't know if you can hear this cat, but he's driving me nuts.
Yeah, but it's great. It's fine.
Warehouse One's always had this really great selection. So if you've been to the distillery, you get to go into Warehouse One, and we always have a lineup of different styles of casks, because that's what we're known for. This whole cask explorer is our major tagline. And kind of reforming that style into the Warehouse One collection sort of harmonized it a little bit. It gave it a little bit more of a coherent personality. Like everything else, the demand has always outstripped our ability to supply, but eventually we managed to catch up, and we turned Warehouse One releases from UK only editions into global releases just last year.
Okay, yeah.
So it was a big step to kind of opening things up to the wider market, which the Tequila cask has done.
Which is fun, isn't it? This actually is kind of a...
Get rid of the cat. Get out. In the room. There we go. Peace.
I mean, you're gonna say, oh, no one's talked about that anymore now either. I've just got a long memory. But like, Tequila casks are quite fun because obviously they weren't allowed, which Moray did get in trouble for doing a cask at one point, but we don't talk about that, do we?
but the timing of those two specific things is incredibly close.
Yes.
The release of one knuckle wrapping to the allowance of new cask styles was this close. But
yeah, so again, for the benefit of members that maybe don't know, the SWA rules around what is deemed a traditional cask that you're allowed to use allows for some things and not other things, and you know, you had IPA casks and Paloma casks,
beer,
but not cider.
Not cider. Not even Scottish cider, I'm afraid.
Not even once tequila was allowed.
It became such an interesting talking point, though, because there was a lot of people going, oh, you've done it deliberately. You know, it's just such a great story. It's being really provocative. And I would have loved to have said yes. But that's not actually the style of company that we are. So that it was a complete honest mistake. They did believe that everything they were doing was above board and by the book. And the SWA obviously disagreed. And the cider cask is no more. So it became that sort of the taboo of whiskey that suddenly everybody wanted to try it. And then we got a change in regulations, a few more cask types added. And that's only kind of fueled our range of things that we work with. So this year alone has been an incredible year for Glen for releasing more cask explorations than ever. We started early in the year with another non-compliant cask, but we did it properly. So it wasn't whiskey.
Was this the maple
There was a
syrup?
very small batch. It was the maple syrup,
I
yeah.
knew
So
that
we
was-
had two single casks of spirit drink, not whiskey, which went down phenomenally well. And then we have the tequila casks, which was a great addition to the range. And then we are going to be finishing up the year with the new kind of core range release of Forbidden Fruit, which is actually from Calvados casks.
Nice.
Apple brandy, yes. Apple
Yeah.
cider, no.
Make it make sense.
No. We like to
that
keep it interesting.
syrup one sounds, yeah, that maple syrup one sounds crazy. Like I imagine that must have made some really wicked cocktails. Or was it like
we did it
not
like
the
a
cocktail?
pairing? So we had the maple syrup cask itself, and then we had our own peated spirit finished in a maple cask as well. So you were getting that basically two sides of breakfast. You could have
Yeah.
your really sweet syrup ready for your porridge, or you could have that smoky sort of bacon and pancake syrup style.
Mm.
Nice,
So
yeah.
it was a winner.
Obviously, you should say there is a peated version of the tequila cask as well, if people want to search that out. Yeah.
Do you know, it's really funny because normally when we do a pairing where we have our peated and our non-peated sort of side by side, I'm always drawn to the peated. Peating was quite a sort of relatively new re-addition back to Glen Moray. We started peating in 2010. And I think just the nostalgia of being there for the first runs and sort of seeing the first casks come through has always kind of drawn me towards our peated style. And this release is actually the first time where I've tried the two and gone, actually, it's the non-peated that I prefer.
Okay, yeah.
So I was quite pleased when it was the non-peated one because I haven't done a huge amount of work with it lately. So it's a good excuse to get a dram out.
What's are you keeping up with the comments, Jess?
Yeah, we've got some really interesting chat actually on the comments about Scotch mist, which is a term new to me and apparently also some of our members. I don't know if Emma, you know that term as well. It's basically who said it? It was Jason Petch saying just add some water and the Scotch mist on this. And apparently it's when something isn't chill filtered and it's at a high, like a cask strength like or high strength like this. And you add the water and then the sort of lipids and the molecules like separate. But yeah, so I guess people are picking up just through pure visuals that this isn't chill filtered.
Yeah, the visual on this one is very clear once you start adding water. We used to call that a very different term, and it's been kind of, it has negative connotations now, so I'm not going to repeat it. I know what he's talking about now.
Well, Scotch mist for the time being.
Absolutely.
It's a bit more than throwing a slight hate, isn't it? But it's
it's right out there. But it's nice to see in that, we always have our non-chill filtered cask strength releases, and some casks are just going to be that little bit funkier than others.
But yeah, as for tasting notes, sorry, I was just going to run through some of those. Jim Glancy saying this is lovely with just a drop of water. I thought the tequila would be too much, but it adds lovely sweet notes. Malcolm Tucker, floral notes, raisins, sultanas, and vanilla. Steve Drogo Coleman Williams, marmalade and nuts on the nose. Peter Gilmore, custard almonds on the nose. Also, lots of people are saying that their pets are kicking off in response to your cat. So some people are saying my dog's barking, my cats are kicking off too. Pexman's asking, what's the cat's favourite dram?
The cat's favourite dram is usually something heavily sherried.
Really?
Yep. He does like, we've got two. The other one is fast asleep, couldn't care less. But no, Ford likes to come and have a nose. I think it's that really thick kind of rich sweetness that draws him in.
Wow. What a developed palate.
Well, we always joke they do live in the warehouse, so.
Yeah. Fair enough. I'm used to it. We've got someone, Barry, asking, can you say which tequila brand the cask is from?
I could if I knew. I do not hold that information. So we have Stephen Woodcock, who is our head of whiskey creation and stocks, which is a fabulous title in itself. And he does all the sourcing. And I do remember asking and being told, I'll get back to you. Now, my memory is bad whether he did or not to me, but I know that I do not have that information.
So someone knows.
Somebody should know.
We've also got Jason Petch, super sweet and herbal on the nose with lime too, but maybe that's just the tequila memories. We've got people asking, have we missed out on the maple cask now?
Oh yeah, long gone.
Yeah, I thought that might be long gone. Real Boinga, honey bread pudding and maple syrup. And a question, I guess, to the floor from Jeffster, saying, is the SWA too puritanical? Distilleries around the world are experimenting, and one of their favourites is the Starward ginger beer casks, which are delicious. I don't know.
It's a difficult one, isn't it? They're obviously trying to preserve sketches and
there's both sides.
Yeah.
I guess also as like innovators, is it sometimes, you know, to have the parameters within which to like push the boundaries of, if that makes sense, you know, like it's quite fun to push things far, and that can only be done if there's rules, I guess. I don't know, speaking from the perspective of
I mean, you look back 10 years plus and you look at Compass Box we're doing, which was like going to the very, very line of those and just consistently challenging and making everybody think about why do we have these rules? But I think the longevity of it and, you know, how few changes we do have in the system relative to the timeline shows that it does have a purpose and it does have a place. At the end of the day, the protection of the industry, the heritage, and everything that goes with it is the goal.
Indeed,
I'm not against the rules. I don't mind stepping those over lines, but we would rather be making whiskey that we can share with everyone.
There has to be a line, but then I don't know. Compass Box have sort of pushed some things to showing how serious they were, like the transparency of. They couldn't tell you the ages of every component and the proportions of every component on the bottle because you could only say the youngest age for fear of confusing people or misleading people, and they were just trying to do it for the sake of like, here's everything, here's all the information. But then there's other things like, interestingly enough, when we've got this Maker's 46 in the box, they kind of do a similar thing to what Compass Box had to stop doing with the spice tree, with the extra French staves inside the cask, which maybe that is messing with what a cask is too much, but makers are all right with it.
You know, there's space for everyone. We wouldn't have international whiskies sitting comfortably side by side along sort of heritage Scotch, Irish, and Japanese whiskies if there wasn't a place for all of these things. And there's clearly still a market for everybody's experiments, and we all love to find out what everybody else is up to. We're nosy. We like to know.
Do you feel like, you know, obviously there's always more to explore, but like, are you ever like, do you think not do you think you got to a point, but is there any stone left unturned now? Like, you know, what hasn't been explored in cask terms, or is there plenty that we just haven't seen yet?
There's always more. It just when you think that you've got to the sort of the end of what category, there's a new direction. You know, people will always talk about our use of white wine casks, for example. We started with finishing in the early 90s. We then moved into full maturation, which was phenomenal. So I released our first 10-year full maturation back in 2011. But then, you know, where do you go from there? Well, actually, after that, we released a really exceptional single cask from the distillery Handfill, of all things. But it was moving from a Chenin Blanc cask to a Chardonnay cask. And even in that sort of addition within that same category, you were building a whole new level of flavour. At the moment in the distillery handfills, we have a rum cask to cognac cask.
Ooh, okay. That sounds like a dessert, like over whiskey.
It's really interesting to kind of bring all these different styles together, because on paper it might sound like dessert, but in reality, you might find that it's not rum cask that's being as dominant. So it's always an experiment. It's always an exploration.
I'm really enjoying this whiskey. I can see some of the comments are still coming in, and people are picking out the tequila notes. I actually find it quite difficult to. I think it's quite integrated. I'm finding it difficult to work out where sort of the grassier Glen Moray notes are ending, and like the butteriness from the spirit, and where the tequila influence is starting. Like it's.
Yeah, I can get that. I mean, for me, it's really clear on this one, but I'm drinking Glen Moray day and day. Well, not every day. Face it, I'm getting older. That doesn't happen anymore. But I'm so used to our sort of natural vanilla, sweet, honeyed profile and the fruitiness that goes with that. What I actually get from this is all the green. It's all the freshness. So somebody said lime when you were reading the comments. I actually get that sort of almost like lime marmalade style.
Yeah.
But it's actually more green peppers. So like specifically green capsicum peppers is a note that you don't get in our whiskey very often. But when you do, I find it really interesting. The last one we got it on was our rum agricole casks, which again are known for a lot of that green, fresh herbal. So I think that's possibly what kind of drew me to this one rather than the peated version, because obviously with the addition of the smoke, you're not getting quite the same freshness. And I really like it. Grassy, herbal, spicy, fiery. I like my whiskey like a kick in the face, so this works for me.
But no, I think like you were just saying about, we actually had the rum agricole. I mean, some of our members will remember. It was going back now. 21?
Well,
2021.
That was Curiosity that came out. So predates.
Yes, that green edge is it's not overdone. It works. It's good. It's nice.
And you were saying about cocktails earlier. So we actually launched the 2 tequila casks on International Tequila Day, which had to be done. But it's also been an incredibly busy year for Glen Moray. And unfortunately, that fell during the Senior Open, which is a major sponsorship for us. And we were pretty much covering and focusing on a lot of what was going on down in Sunningdale with Ian Allen, the brand ambassador, and the team who were down there. Meanwhile, back at the distillery, I had our Mexican flags and our cactuses up, and we were making whiskey margaritas. So, sure, who had the better time? But yeah, this
you're like, where else here?
On that rather fantastic note, I've sort of just took the time.
Yes.
But there's no better place to end.
I did say you have to tell me to shut up.
No, it's fantastic. I've really been enjoying it. I think we've been chatting for sort of 25 minutes, and we need to bring Russ in at some point. But thank you so much, Emma. It's been great.
No problem. I'm going to hang around and listen to someone else chat for a while.
Thank you. I can't even think about having like a margarita right now, but come spring, I'll be making like a frozen Glen Moray marg or something. But that would be good.
Secure a bottle.
Yeah. I think, do you know what as well, is I think maybe, people's minds have changed a lot, but I think tequila cask, like tequila itself is divisive at the best of times, and tequila cask whiskey, I think, some people will be quite reserved about it, but like looking in the comments now, like everyone is loving this, and yeah, me included. I just think it goes to show, doesn't it, that one, good tequila isn't bad, and two, it makes great casks.
Amen. Now on to something
Very different.
pretty exciting. Yeah, let's bring in Russell. And of course, yeah, well, we are up to now, what, 59.9%. So
Bringing out the big stuff now, yeah.
See, the ABV used to be sort of like on the front face of these drams, and now you have to turn it, and it's in quite small writing. So, like, yeah, that's good to flag it to people.
Much bigger on the tasting pads. Thank you for waiting, Russell. How are you doing?
Fine. I've been enjoying the chat. I was just thinking the tequila. The other thing about tequila is it makes you happy.
Absolutely.
And also, for anyone concerned about Emma's cat, it's probably my garden because I don't live that far away from her. So I'm sure
You'll have eyes on it soon.
Found a friendly neighbour to look after it.
So, if you could just introduce yourself. You haven't been on Pour & Sip
I've never
before?
been on before. No, so yes, I'm one of the whiskey advisors in our retail store here in Elgin. But I've kind of got a reasonably close relationship with some of our sales team. And Luke, who I guess normally comes on and chats with you about Gordon MacPhail, is double booked tonight, and kind of being his work husband, which is a long story. I volunteered to help for him, so here I am tonight.
Thank you very much.
Welcome. Happy to have you.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
What does being a whiskey advisor entail?
Well, within Gordon MacPhail, I guess we work in the retail store. So on a day-to-day basis, customer service, selling bottles, advising people as to what they might or might not want to buy. But probably on a more regular basis, we host tastings within the shop as well. Sometimes out and about. I've been to a couple of festivals again with the sales team. Sometimes, for example, there was an opportunity to go to Denmark fairly recently, when again helping out on a trade show, which sounds a lot more glamorous than it actually was. I think it was nice for about 8 hours and hard work and maybe not so nice for the rest of it. But obviously great opportunities. And the tastings that we do, we've got a variety of tastings within the shop, from around about £50 up to £500. And for example, yesterday I've got to the stage now where I'm more of a senior advisor. So the two tastings I hosted yesterday afternoon both started with a 49-year-old Glen and finished with a 74-year-old Glenlivet. So we get to play around with some pretty decent stuff. So yeah, it's.
Well, I'm sorry today we only have a 17-year-old Highland Park. So we're really sorry.
That's the most wonderful thing about the job as well, because we have to know a lot. We have to know a little about a lot. And I think it's one of these things, sometimes if you work for a brand, you get to know everything about that brand inside out. And on sort of most occasions, we pull a whiskey onto our lineup that we don't know so much about. So you've got to know a lot more about that again. And one of the fantastic things about tonight is that my knowledge of Highland Park is not massive. It's not a whiskey that I've followed hugely, despite it being a very, very popular one. So this has been a very interesting exercise for me also, just to get a bit more familiar with Highland Park, become a bit more familiar about the distillate. And I think that's one of the things that at Gordon MacPhail is particularly important. Historically, it's been about matching spirit to cask. So we want to know much more about the actual distillate and how it's actually working. And, your head spins, I think, sometimes hearing about all the finishing that lots of other people do, which is very exciting. And I enjoy a lot of these finishes as much as anybody else. But it's much more about the distillery style shining through with Gordon MacPhail. So very different from that character, which is very interesting, but also challenging from an advisor point of view. Keeps you neutral.
I think it's important to sort of explain maybe what the Gordon and MacPhail approach from spirit to bottling. It's pretty incredible and has obviously long roots.
Very, very long roots. I mean, way back in 1895 is obviously when we started here in Elgin as a grocer, and we were one of a handful in the town at the time as well. But having James Gordon, who was one of the original members of the company, being a whisky broker, he already had strong links with whisky distilleries. So the ability to buy spirit from places like Linkwood and Glenlivet and Glengrant, Mortlach, Longmorn, etc., was already kind of set in stone. And then when the Urquhart family obviously became involved, that interest in knowing how spirit matches with cask and then how it matures was very much about what they wanted to do. And also being a family of kind of kleptomaniacs, if you like, John and George Urquhart in particular liked to see how things would work over a long period of time. George was very much one of these people who was a tinkerer, wanted to see how things would work. So that inquisitive nature of seeing how things would mature over a longer period of time, when the majority of spirit, I guess, was going into blends at quite a young age, and they were bottling spirits at a very older age. Maturing whiskey wasn't a novel concept, of course. It was happening way back in the 1700s, but I think George Urquhart in particular kind of took that to another level and put it into bottles. And then obviously when the Connoisseurs' Choice range came on the go to begin with, started to put other distilleries on the map, if you like, and made people more aware of distilleries that they'd never heard of. So yes, that's always been the model. Buying our own.
Was that the 60s? Is that right?
In 1968 was when the first Connoisseurs' Choice bottling came out. And the bottle that we've got on show tonight is the sort of seventh version of that. It's been rebranded and changed as time's gone on. It used to encapsulate quite a lot of different things, including some vattings, some old and rare, some vintage, some cask strength. But these days, the Connoisseurs' Choice range is predominantly single cask and cask strength.
Wow. So this Highland Park we have here is part of the 130th anniversary editions, which is crazy. How do you even go about choosing whiskies for like a milestone as big as that?
Well, I think it's probably very difficult when you work for G&M because there are so many good whiskies. It's one of these things that people often say to you, "Oh, I suppose you're going to tell us your whiskey's the best." And as a whiskey drinker, as a whiskey fan, and now working for Gordon MacPhail, I have to always say yes, and it's a kind of confident statement. It sounds kind of grandiose, but we do some absolutely fantastic, stunning whiskies. And going back to the whiskey advisor role, hosting tastings, it's actually one of the easiest things in the world to do because the stars of the show are there. You've just got to be a kind of half decent person and a chatty kind of person that you're tasting, because the whiskey's always going to shine. It is actually, as I said, the stars of the show are the whiskey. So yeah, it's a case of which one to choose as opposed to yeah
spoiled for choice.
Well, indeed, absolutely, yeah.
And I was going to say as well, kind of you touched on this just now, but I think you get some independent bottlers, and obviously you sort of don't follow the same rules as like the distillery themselves. So say Highland Park, for example, is like pretty much exclusively sherry casks, but some independent bottlers would be able to throw that spirit into like a tequila cask, for example. But so at Gordon and MacPhail, the point is to actually, I guess, continue the sort of the distillery character and like what it's trying to say.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would be a liar if I said that we've never done any kind of other kind of quirky cask, because there'll be somebody out there who's got a bottle of something that's maybe matured in Sauterne or red wine, something along the line. But predominantly, we stick to the traditional ex-bourbon casks and ex-sherry casks.
And the point is sort of you basically got full control from day one, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like you're getting a cask and then working out what to do with it. Like that's been your cask since it's
since the very beginning. I mean, we also work a kind of grading system as well. So from 0 to 10, anything that's kind of sitting around about 5 or 6, we start to take a proper look at it. It might need to be re-racked because that cask, even though it's first fill or second fill, might not just be working as well as it should. You can't expect every cask to do what you want it to. But that's a kind of fairly rare occurrence. And then once it gets into the 7, you're starting to think of bottling it from one of the ranges. And then the 8s and the 9s, they get a chance to go on and sometimes become 85 years old, which was the bottling that we just released a few weeks ago.
Just crazy, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, shall I?
Yeah.
There's a few sort of first impressions coming through.
Mhm.
So where should I jump in? So Jason Petch has gone from yeah, I'm looking forward to this one to this is so yummy. Although not a tasty note, I grant you. Cole McGoldrick's just saying how he's quite new to smoky whiskey, and I think this obviously isn't a massive peat bomb, so probably one.
It's absolutely not. I mean, the peat that they use for Highland Park is from Orkney itself. It's from the Hobbister Moor, so it's quite an interesting peat, and there's obviously no trees in Orkney, so it's very much a heather-based wood that's in there. So that kind of brings out these kind of honey notes, which for me that always made me the funk from a Highland Park. I always found very, very different from a Springbank funk or an Arran funk or some of those things where you get all those nice kind of fermented grass or silage farmyard notes, if you like, which always puts off a new person to whiskey when you say this has got wonderful noses of farmyard. So when you're a whiskey drinker, you start to understand exactly what that means. But this one has always been one that's always caught me out because it's very different. It's almost like kind of smoky honey, and I think it was Dave Broom that one of his tasting notes off the new make was kumquat. And of course, I had to look up what kumquat was. So it's that kind of sweet, sour, tangy.
Yeah, sure.
And that very much comes through in this Highland Park as well.
Well, Steve's gone for apricots and slightly damp pipe tobacco, which is
sounds good. Yeah,
pretty on point, isn't it? Yeah,
that's a proper funky note. Absolutely. Yeah.
Who else have we got?
I've got lots of notes, peanut notes, citrusy notes, but lots, honey certainly coming through. Peter Gilmore's getting that apple, which I think we had in our tasting notes as well. We've got some shoe leather, light smoke, heather honey, all sorts of things are saying. Malcolm Tucker's going in with some dark roasted coffee beans, sat on honey fudge, or sat on a honey fudge finish, with lingering smoke, butter, and some licorice. Very nice.
Nice.
Fantastic. And these are all hitting the marks of the official tasting notes as well. And Dave was saying at the start, I think tasting notes are very much the sort of subjective a lot of the time. But I think sometimes it's nice when you taste a whiskey and then you look at the tasting notes.
Yeah, sure.
Definitely.
So on the bottle we've got raisin, peanuts, apple, raspberry, fudge, and coffee beans. So very much.
Nice.
So we've got a well-educated group out there, so that's fantastic.
Have you ever been to Orkney, Russell?
I have actually. My brother-in-law, so my wife's brother, and his fiance got married there. They moved there just over a year ago, and they got married a few months ago. So we went up for the wedding. So we get to go up on a fairly regular basis.
Okay, and do you ever pay a visit to Highland Park while you're there?
We went to Kirkle for the day, and I saw the shop on the high street, and obviously I observed the distillery, but I didn't have anything booked. We were obviously there for the wedding. I did pop into that other Highland Orkney distillery that we probably shouldn't name today, and picked up a distillery bottle from them. But yeah, for sure, I'll go back and do proper tours of the distillery when we're up.
Yeah, no, I think Orkney looks amazing. I feel like it's one of those things, isn't it, where everyone, when people go to Islay and taste Islay whiskey, and it always tastes better when it's there, or more like Islay when it's there. Because I was reading about the, obviously the Orkney peat, and it's got the heatheriness, and like made over like hundreds, thousands of years. And I kind of just had this moment where I was thinking that I think when peat has real provenance like this, and comes from the place where the whiskey is made, like it's like when you're drinking whiskey, you're drinking a bit of history anyway. But then I actually feel like the peat is a history in itself. And I think something really cool about Highland Park is the fact that it uses peat, where the whiskey is made, which not all do, and that's fine. But yeah, just a thought, not really a question.
No, I totally agree, and I think so going back, one of the things about sort of researching whiskey, this guy Ingvar Ronde, I've got all of his yearbooks all the way back to 2007. I think the 2006, the original book is hugely expensive to get. But it's great to be able to go back and look at what was being spoken about in the distillery in 2007, because obviously this was a 2007 distillate. So we're talking 20% floor
So you're
malt.
trying to be able to go back to 2011. Yeah.
2011 this far back, yeah, so 20% floor maltings with the Orkney peat. So they measure the peat at 25 to 30 ppm. And for the guys that were saying they've never really experimented much with peat, but this is actually something we're really enjoying. I think it goes into the bottler around about 3% by the time it's there. So it is a very, very light, subtle peat. It's certainly not a smoke bomb by any manner of means. And then 80% of the other barley, which is unpeated, comes from the mainland. Historically, well, 2007, this was malted at Tamdhu Distillery in Speyside, when we would have still had floor maltings. But now it's Simpsons, I think, in Inverness that they get their barley from. So little bits of that kind of information is quite cool. You've got barley that was malted at Tamdhu Distillery in Speyside. You've got the 20% peated malt from the Hobberster Moor, which is a very unusual kind of peat compared to the rest in mainland Scotland and in the Isla peat. So those historical notes, I think, always make it interesting. And then I guess also from a high ABV point of view, 59.9. Gordon MacPhail, we only ever use a cask twice. Everything's first fill or refill. Exceptionally high quality wood, which has always been the case. But my understanding is that Highland Park has been, or certainly was, filled at 69.5, which is a good chunk above industry sort of standard as well. So I guess holding that kind of higher ABV. But yeah, just a really interesting story, actually.
Yeah. Sorry, just touch on the ABV. We did have someone saying, why is it 59.9%?
Yeah, so it was probably filled at 69.5. So this has come down a good bit compared to what it was filled at. But yeah.
Yeah, actually, if it's keeping it that high but not quite cask strength, like where is the line? Does it depend? Really depend on the liquid.
It absolutely depends on the liquid. We would like to think. I remember talking to a very famous master blender who was at a distillery that Dave used to work at, who once said that when I asked him about water, and he always said that if the blender or the chooser of the bottling has done his job properly, you should never have to add water. If you choose to, that's your choice. You should never have to. And I always think, for me, most of Gordon MacPhail bottlings I could drink neat. Although some of them pack a little bit of a punch, but you should be able to drink it neat. So even at 59.9, I think this is drinkable, but everybody's palate's different. Yeah.
I was going to say the same thing, like my first sip, and I was like, I kind of thought it would punch me in the face more, but I did add a little bit of water just to see if it would, open up or anything. Yeah, something I wanted to ask you as well, just like because of the nature of your job, and like you're going out to tastings and obviously talking to a lot of people, what have you seen sort of like change or develop in people's approach to whiskey, or like the way people are drinking? Like, is there anything that you've noticed?
I think it's quite hard for me to kind of comment on that, I guess, within Gordon MacPhail, because everything we do is particularly traditional. We're not making really whiskey cocktails. We're not really pushing that kind of line. So I would find that quite a difficult question to answer from my point of view. I'm definitely seeing a broad range of people coming in to try whiskies, a broad range of people on tastings, a lot of younger people. We get nationals from probably everywhere in the world actually coming in to do tastings, from your kind of traditional old man kind of types to younger mixed families, which is fantastic. I went down to Edinburgh University to their Water of Life Society to help Fraser, who's our sales guy based down in Edinburgh. And the group that were there were absolutely fantastic. They were very multinational. There was very few people from the UK, 50-50, male-female, very engaging. It was a really, really good crowd. Probably one of the best tastings I've actually done in a long time, because the questions were just fantastic. And people were really, really engaged. So, and most of them fairly new to whiskey as well. So yeah, that was really...
Okay, yeah. So they learned a lot, wanted to learn a lot, even though they hadn't been around.
Absolutely.
That's really cool. And also quite interesting, I feel like, you were like, oh, the fact that, you're quite traditional bottlings means it's hard to comment, but actually the fact that you're still seeing like a really diverse range of people come in to try them, like actually says a lot. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, we very much encourage that. I think within the shop, we're all whiskey fans first and foremost. So we're almost like poachers turned gamekeeper. We've been given the keys to the cupboard, and we get to kind of pour and try these incredible whiskies. So we're all very eager to encourage anyone to come in and drink and try responsibly, of course. But yeah, I think it is, for me, it's definitely changing in a broader spectrum of people, ages as well. Getting involved.
Yeah, definitely. We've got a few people in the chat saying that peated whiskey isn't usually their thing, and this is actually really delicious. Do you think Highland Park, would you recommend that for people who are just trying to ease their way into peated whiskey? Do you think it's maybe the age on this one that's also tempered the smoke a little bit?
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. As we all know, peated whiskey dissipates with the older it gets. So yeah, I would say Highland Park is definitely one of those. Springbank, if you can find it, if you can get it, is another, obviously. Our own Ben Romick, I would have to say, is another one of those peated whiskies that I would always encourage people to try, especially the 15-year-old. I think our sales team are doing really well at getting into bars around the country. So if people see that in a bar, the local bar, the Ben Romick 15 is definitely one that people should try. And I think, because I think probably everybody knows somebody or has either been in that place where somebody's said, "Oh, you need to drink whiskey, I'll give you this Lefroy," and it's just a massive punch of peat in the face, which I've never yet managed to go back.
It's either going to make you go like, "Wow, this is amazing," or like be like, "Whoa, yeah."
And it scares so many people off. It's a fantastic whiskey, obviously, but it's in at the deep end, I think. Some Glen Scotias, for example, as well, are just that hint of peat.
That's a good shout.
It kind of brings in.
There's a few comments which I'm quite enjoying. Steve Coleman Williams is saying it's a nice dram, but quite complex. I'm struggling to come up with it sort of continues. He's saying, I think it's a good whiskey for tasting and discussion. Basically, like saying it's not something you session. Let me try and find somebody else's comment that I was reading as well, sort of similar. Here it is. Clive Hampton saying, "Yeah, I totally agree. My palate's having a fight with this one, but it's an enjoyable fight." I think they're both sort of doing what I've been doing and just sort of like really just like losing themselves in the glass. And just there is like a lot of depth there, and it's a really interesting whiskey, and it's got.
I think that's what we'd absolutely want to happen. I mean, I say all the time. Obviously, we bottle a lot of whiskies we've bottled from over 120 over the years, and as you'll be aware, a couple of years ago we made the decision that we were going to stop buying fillings from distilleries, which kind of shocked the whiskey world a little bit. I think people thought that's the end of independent bottling, that's the end of Gordon MacPhail, but failing to realise that we've got decades of stock to work with for a long time to come. But also, from a business point of view, we really are looking to focus on the two distilleries that we own now, which are Ben Romick and the Cairn that we built not that long ago. So we're looking to build those brands. And the kind of whiskey world's kind of changed a bit. But we'll be bottling under Gordon MacPhail for many, many decades to come.
It's huge, isn't it? That all this incredible legacy of doing it from, like I say, like having full control from day one, and then like, oh yeah, we're going to stop doing that. But don't worry, we're going to be able to bottle stuff for like decades. We've got
loads of stuff there, absolutely.
It's all right.
What I love about it is I could put 5 bourbon matured whiskies on a lineup, and they would all be very, very different because again the distillate is allowed to kind of shine through. We'll start off with something light and fruity like a Strathmill or a Macduff, and then you'll move on to a Dalhousie, which is starting to get waxy and a bit mucky. And then you pick we had a shop exclusive Mortlich, which was in, it was a 24-year-old that was in first fill bourbon. And it was just nuts. It gave you a little taste of fruit right at the beginning, and then it just got all aggressive as a Mortlich does. When you get to the bottom of the glass, you would have been forgiven for thinking it was a sherry whiskey. It got so heavy and lucky. And it just was that absolute fight. But we chose that as a shop exclusive because we wanted to have that discussion with people. And despite it being, I think it was around about 240, 260 a bottle, we did about 185. We smashed it. We sold it out because it was such an incredible whiskey. There was so many conversations that we had around about it that were, as people were saying, I'm having a fight with this, but I'm loving the fight.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the most wonderful things about our whiskies. They are hugely complex, and there's usually a lot going on.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
But Steve's apologising for his waffling comment that I was struggling to read. So I've just been saying apologies for just lacking, the capacity to read. Apparently, it's been a long day. But no, he says you nailed it. My notes were incoherent. That was what I was saying.
Well translated.
But this is this is a what we've just been saying, a really interesting dram you could sit with for a very long time. But Jess and I will quickly chat very quickly about the other two in the box, and then we'll bring everyone back on screen for a bit of final chit chat.
Yes.
But it's been an absolute pleasure, Russell. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you. Cheers, guys.
See you shortly.
Where does the evening go, Jess?
Hi.
Where does the evening go?
I don't know. It's funny, isn't it? Like, because I'm just trying to take it all in as well. I do find it funny. Like, how are we going to talk for 15 minutes? I'm like, I'm not sure it's ever
not
been
going to be the
a
problem.
problem.
It is a one that just drags you in. This one, isn't it? It's you can see it's sort of like
really
I'm getting lots of fruit and nuts and stuff. It's not obvious. There's so much more happening there. It's
No.
yeah. I'm with a bunch of the commenters there doing the same thing.
I don't feel like I'm fighting it, but it's not like you sort of like do a double take when you sip it. You know what I mean? You're like, wait a minute.
No.
What's going on?
Let's quickly chat about the other ones in the box, shall we? Because I think they're both very interesting, actually.
Yeah.
Do you want me to talk about makers first?
Yeah. Tell me about this
This
situation, because we've sort of touched on it very briefly already.
Exactly. So. Yeah. So makers, they essentially from the 50s, nothing really changed about Maker's Mark until about 2000. What is it? 10. So 2010, the son of the founders sort of decides he's going to put his own little spin on it. So he takes fully matured already Maker's Mark, and they insert all these French oak toasted staves in, which like I said, Compass Box got in a lot of trouble for doing that just a few years before. It was verboten. But yeah, it's I think obviously different country, different rules. Bourbon, as long as you have the mandatory kind of initial maturation in the fresh American oak casks, there is some wiggle room about, if you wanted to, like not many people do, but yeah, you can start to do slightly different things on the finish. But yeah, it was kind of the first line extension. And I remember when we, I think this possibly is one of the few things that Master Malt like deliberately listed, even though we couldn't get it for years. Because we got hold of a bottle from America and we were like, look at it, this is like this crazy thing. And so we like
take a photo and keep it forever.
Just for information. Yeah. Eventually, like it came to these shores. The other thing they do, so this is quite interesting. Because imagine like in America, like they don't age whiskey for as long as us, completely different climate. You've got these rick houses where some of it's really hot, really, completely different maturation conditions. And what Maker's Mark decided to do is that because they wanted to age stuff longer, I guess it probably started with this, but now they're doing much older releases. If they take it from the rick houses where, so again, extra level of detail. Some American whiskey companies leave everything in sort of where it is, basically. So you've got casks that have matured right at the top of the rick house where it's really hot, and right at the bottom of the rick house where it's relatively like calm, the conditions in comparison. Maker's Mark move their casks around all the time, so it's all uniform, which is like a hell of a lot of legwork.
Oh, that must be crazy.
But to age things for longer, they get the cask out of the rick house entirely, and they whack it in like a cellar, like a limestone, energy efficient cellar, which it's like a cognac cellar or something. Like no one does that in America. It's
Yeah, like that's part. Like they're like maturing it, and they're
so
like
yeah,
bang.
there's a lot
done.
going on there. But the highlights are wheated bourbon. So bourbon has to be 51% corn anyway. All Maker's Mark is 70% corn, but there's no rye. Using wheat instead. But this is still, even though like that would generally be like a smoother kind of whiskey, this is a big kind of event. It's
I guess it might get that spice from the French oak instead of the rye.
Yeah, it gives them a zhuzhing up. Yeah, it's a very interesting American whiskey. But yeah, I'm
Very cool.
rambling. So
As we do.
Roseisle.
I'd expect nothing less. Yeah, Roseisle. So this is very cool. This is the second ever whiskey released from Roseisle. Both were, well, this is in the second edition of Diageo's Spirited Exchange special releases. So this is from 2024. The first Spirited Exchange was 2023. And yes, so the first Roseisle was obviously in the first special editions, special releases, sorry. So yeah, Roseisle was founded in 2009, so new-ish. But yeah, it's very cool because it's like a chameleon of a distillery. Annoyingly, I was like reading all about this and I was like, it's a chameleon, that's amazing. And then I saw the tasting notes and I was like, you already said it was a chameleon. Clearly it is, because that's what we're all thinking. Because you know, some people double down, or some distilleries double down on, you know, the distillery character. And obviously that's amazing. That's just probably how distilleries developed, making one style of whiskey. But yeah, Roseisle was, as a distillery, was designed to make loads of different styles. It's got 7 stills and 6 of them can switch between stainless steel or copper condensers, giving them the opportunity to, you know, make either a really light and grassy new make, or like switch to switch to make it like really heavy. And yeah, they've got loads of times to play around with like fermentation, and so yeah, they can sort of just adapt to whatever they want to make on that day. It's also, because it's new, it's like leading the way in how to be more sustainable. I think an on-site biomass plant provides 72% of the energy, which is very cool, making it 15% less carbon footprint than traditional distilleries. So yeah, this one was really interesting to nose as well, because yeah, as it says on the tasting card, it is a marriage of 3 spirit streams of like what capacity, I don't know.
Yeah, it's not clear, is it? What combination of like fermentation times, condenser material, but it is wacky on the nose, isn't it? It's
fresh. I think it's pretty fresh to me.
It's worth spending some time with, maybe on like a separate evening, because there's a
I think after, and also this is a pretty big on ABV as well. This is 55.6. We've already had 2 pretty hefty ones. So yeah, as I said at the beginning, you guys just want to give this one a smell and leave the tastings for another night. That is,
it's almost got like I was noting it a little bit earlier. It's like almost like perfumed fresh linen thing going on, as well as some fresh fruit, and yeah, it's an interesting
all
one.
I could think of was like chamomile.
Yes,
which I guess is kind of like linen-y. Yeah, like it's really cool. I'm going to return to this one for sure. I'm going to return to most of them, but yeah, that's Roseisle. The second ever whiskey released from the distillery is very cool. So yeah,
should we bring our friends back?
Let us know your thoughts on these 2, everyone. But yes, let's bring back our guests.
Hopefully David and Emma are there. They've turned their cameras off, but they're hopefully not too far away.
They're looking for the cats.
We'll bring Russell back and we'll just chat with Russell.
Hello.
In a minute.
I was keen to talk about Roseisle. Actually, you brought it up there, but we with third party bottles. Obviously, we're whiskey fans, so obviously we talk and we sell Gordon MacPhail, which is the easiest job in the world. It really is. But we also peruse the shelves of our third-party bottlings. And we quite often bottle share, just because we're not sure we're buying a whole bottle. So because we're whiskey fans, it's dead easy. So we've shared the Roseisle 12, which was, I thought, a fantastic whiskey. And quite keen to do the 14 as well. So yeah, really, really interesting stuff. And as you say, a really interesting distillery, that kind of factory sense, they can do what they want. And I mean, I guess it's just about Diageo keeping control of various different styles of spirit. Which again is back to what we're allowed to do on a very regular basis, and let's talk about distillery style and where that goes. So having conversations with people about why this is important and why that distillery style is important brings us all the way back to blends every single time. And then people sort of say, "Oh, but blends." You're like, well, no, if it wasn't for blends, we would literally have no industry.
Yes.
We owe Johnny Walker the world, whether you like it or not is irrelevant, but. That probably is the most important whiskey that's out there in terms of keeping our business alive. But it's amazing then being able to say to people, so Johnny Walker's a cake, and this ingredient that I've got here, this Dalhue and this Clynelish, this whatever, is what kind of makes it all the recipe for that. And I think that's a really good conversation to have with people, actually, to kind of help see why these distillates are all different styles and different flavors. So yes, so Roseisle's, I think Roseisle's fantastic, and I love the packaging. I'm not a sucker for packaging usually, but I quite like the Roseisle's packaging. I think it's quite smart.
I'm definitely a sucker for packaging.
So we haven't heard from. I've just been messaging the guys backstage. Emma says she's here, but she's having problems with her camera, so she's rejoining. We might have Emma on radio rather than. I'll bring her back in.
Old school.
Yeah. Hopefully we can hear you, Emma.
I am here.
Yeah.
I think if this is not a sign that the internet has had enough of me today, I don't know what it is.
We'll bring David in as well. You can see he's here.
It's like the Eurovision Song Contest. Emma, can you give us our points for Luxembourg, please?
I feel like I've been booted.
Well, this is the sort of the time of the evening where I get Andy to ask the mean question. Do you want to do it, Jess? I never forget whether you relish doing the question or not.
Everyone knows what's coming. So yes, as we always ask our subscribers at the end of every tasting, which was your favourite? I'm going to speak on behalf of our guests and say that they won't be offended if you don't choose theirs. So yeah, throw your votes in the chat. We'll go do a little tally at the end. And in the spirit of Andy not being here, I'm going to ask a rogue question to our guests while everyone else deliberates, which is, what's one really underrated whiskey and like food or snack pairing that just gets missed? The floor is yours.
I like that.
I've certainly got an idea for a whiskey with a food pairing. It was back in the day when Ardbeg had the drum release, and I really enjoyed that with some feta cheese and cherry tomatoes with a crack of black pepper. Yeah, Ooh. It was awesome. Absolutely, I literally had a plate with just cheese and the tomatoes, and just it was. Did
you just like follow your nose on that one? You were like, I know what this needs.
Yeah, well, for me, back in the day, I mean, I think things have changed in terms of my nose, but back in the day, Ardbeg, the 10 in particular, had this really strong tomato plant. You know, the vine and the leaves of the tomato plant.
Sure.
Really strong vibe. So it just hit the mark. Yeah.
That's a good one. Cheese is like, is always there, but feta, no.
Just that tanginess, and then again the kind of sweet, but then that kind of note it's a different note you get from the vine of the tomato compared to the actual fruit. So yeah, Go for it. If you've got a bottle of drum anywhere, guys, go for it.
Yeah, I was going to say if anyone has that kicking around.
Yeah, I was thinking cheese myself. I wasn't. Feta's an unusual one or something. I like peated whiskey and a cheddar, and also blue cheese. I'm a big fan of blue cheese, and I kind of find almost any whiskey goes the time you're on the blue cheese. Any whiskey goes with it. Yeah, but it's quite an unusual. Some people might not be a fan of blue cheese.
Well, no, I can picture Colin Dunn doing tastings where he'd get you to like chew a blue cheese until your mouth almost hurt, and then take a sip of MacPhail.
Oof. That sounds intense.
Usually is, but yeah.
You would need to drink that with a Ben Nevis, surely.
I mean, you can't go wrong with cheese. I literally had the highlight of my life at the weekend where my husband took me to a cheese restaurant, and
Where's that?
down near Covent Garden,
Oh, okay.
and it was.
I thought you were going to say it's up in Forest or something. I thought.
Do you know what? I'm totally on board with the business plan for Elgin. That would just be my new life, I'm afraid.
Absolutely.
But when we do tastings in Glen House with a food pairing, and I actually really like using chili. So maybe something like chili jam or dark chocolate and chili, because spice and alcohol is just an explosion. If nothing else, just to kind of challenge people's palates. We do all the usual stuff with the cheese and sort of little bits of charcuterie and salmon and things to talk about, different taste profiles. But it's the chili always wins. It's always the most interesting pairings.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh, I'll be trying that one.
What about you, Jess? Who's
Jake, do you have anything to throw in there?
your question, your area of expertise, perhaps, Jess?
What's that, sorry?
What saying is, this is your question. So have you got strong opinions, or are you just fishing for?
I just love it. I just think it's interesting, and I feel like everyone always has like a rogue little addition that they like, or like their own secret thing, you know. And they're like, "Oh, I do this thing, but it's weird," and then actually, it's like it's really good. But I'm always inspired by my favorite one is a plagiarism, and it's from Sarah Burgess, and it was when she told it to me like it was like this huge secret. She was like, "You've got to try Tequila and Maltesers," like it was like a sin. But it is amazing. So if anyone's not tried that yet,
I can also vote that John Paul with Maltesers.
Maybe, I mean, it's not revolutionary because it is just chocolate, but it just feels like extra special.
Maltesers aren't chocolate, though, are they? They're Maltesers.
No.
So I was always really impressed by Abby Clephane at Brew Claddy with her sort of Optimor and the 10p crisps. Like Monster Munch and bacon. Absolutely fantastic. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah.
I'll also never forget, sorry, complete side note, when I went to Hatcher Tequila Bar in London, and they gave me a tasting of tequila and a single Monster Munch in an egg cup. And they were like, "This is your pairing."
Reverently presented single Monster Munch.
Yeah, for real.
What flavour of Monster Munch?
Well, that's a good question, Dave. Yeah.
I couldn't see that. I don't know. I didn't see the packet. Yeah. I can't remember.
It has to be pickled onion. They should have had the glass. They should have had the glass on the actual Monster Munch.
Coaster style.
Yeah, pickled onion in the comments too. Yeah.
Yeah, I knew this would ignite a discussion. How are we looking, Jake? What's coming in?
Yeah, I was trying to think if I can add anything to this. Not really. I mean, like a peated whiskey with a curry is pretty good. Nice, well aged, like a redbreast with something like a little bit tropical, like a little sort of nice fruit. Is pretty good. Yeah, I don't know. I can't think of anything wacky really. But
no,
that's pretty wacky, to be honest.
Whiskey sounds great.
I've not really. I mean, like, I don't really get my takeaway, and then I'm like, yeah, let me grab the peated whiskey.
Oh no, yeah, you got to do that. That's a given. Yeah, maybe that is a bit wacky. I don't know. I was trying to think of something revolutionary. It does. Our colleague Sam Smith did a blog post about this. It was kind of like what you were saying with the Monster Munch, and he would be like, "Yeah, you have to have this one with like a single tortilla chip, or like quite like a bit like Neil Ridley with his like crisp sommelier now." But yeah. Humble snacks with fine drams.
Yeah.
The tequila cask and some pickles. I feel like that needs investigated.
Yeah, a bit like a Gibson.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right, let's see what everyone's saying.
Here.
Well, that's all about the Roseisle. Yeah. So, what is the question? Right. I've gone far too far. Right, Malcolm Tucker saying yes. It's the Highland Park for me. We've got some more love for the Highland Park from Jason Petch. Clive Hampton saying the Glen Moray of the three I've tasted, but I'm still interrogating that Highland Park. We've got CMDCTRL saying my favorite.
Command control.
Yeah.
Command control.
My favourite is actually the 46, but the Glen Moray opened my eyes to what they offer. So that's pretty cool. Jason Petch pointing out that although he did say the Highland Park, he thought the Clydebuilt is fantastic value. So maybe they're going to pick one of those up in the store. Pexman got Glen Moray, tied with Roseisle top, followed by Clydebuilt, tied with Makers. So basically everything in the box is in the top three. But crikey, what a choice. Yes, that's what we like to hear too.
Excellent.
So yes, more love for Clydebuilt. Highland Park, lovely. So basically, some more love for all of them, really. Yeah, Makers getting a shout out from Nick Tarrant alongside the Clydebuilt. Any chance of a bourbon box 1 month? Well, yeah, mate, it's a difficult one, isn't it? So I think sometimes we usually throw in a themed box every now and then. But we tend not to do the whole box as one theme in case, that's not the style that people are it's not their favourite style. But usually we find a time to throw a few more Americans than usual in. Yeah, we'll see what we can do. Jason Beck saying, what an awesome selection. Spoiled tonight. +1 for the bourbon box there, so that's getting some love. Yeah, all of them have got people who are saying that that's their favourite or their split favourites. So yeah, as ever, we've all got different palates and love for all the whiskies we've tasted. So thank you very much to all our guests. And yeah, what else is there to say, Jess?
Next month, Christmas.
Oh goodness, yeah.
Really?
Sorry to say it, but come have a party with us.
Is
Is it that time of year already? God.
I know.
No, but
Sorry, I didn't even want to
Pour and
skip
sip
it,
Christmas is mad because this
Pour and sip.
has been a fun, enjoyable evening, but we've got to get through 5 guests on our mega Christmas party special. So that is December the 11th, one for the calendars. Whoop whoop in the comments. Absolutely.
But yes, apart from that, no, just thank you for everyone for joining. It's been amazing.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, it's been a genuine pleasure, and please everybody engage with all of us as you go forward. Yeah.
Maybe be another 3 years, I might be back again.
Thanks again, guys. Thanks so much.
As long as everybody